Blackness, which is the arts platform which celebrates British black talent in the arts. I only know Danielle, actually, I've never met you before, Carol, or everyone, so hi. Or have I met? Am I being bad?
No. I know of you though.
Me too.
And you're doing good work.
Thank you. We're all trying to do good work. So this is going to be an informal discussion about contemporary broadcast and how it's changed and where black women are positioning themselves or ourselves in changing the narrative or the vision of what broadcast, digital broadcast and visual broadcast is today. So my first kind of just question or comment is like, we want to talk about the examples, the present day images and representation broadcast in front of and behind the camera for black women. What's the lay of the land? And as you speak, can you guys give a bit of an explanation about what you do combined with your answer? So how's it looking right now in regards to what we see on screen today and the representation of us on screen, as women and black people in general? I'll go down the line.
Hi, I'm Danielle Scott-Wootton. I am the writer, director, producer of the web series Dear Jesus and its spin-off show, The Alexis Show. Currently, I work as a development executive at Balloon Entertainment, and I also write about race, gender, and popular culture for my blog. And I guess things are improving in broadcast. Very slow. Change takes time because those who are in charge don't want to let go because there's a lot of money in television broadcasting. And so the idea of relinquishing that power for people who don't look like you is challenging. But that being said, there are people who understand that there should be enough space at the table, there should be seats at the table for all of us, and they are, slowly but surely realizing that they're running out of ideas, that they can't, we can't watch any more Downton Abbey. They're starting to figure it out. But I guess a lot of the stuff that we have to work against is the idea of, we could see some black people on TV certain times. We could see people of color, we could see Asian people, Chinese people, Korean people. We could see different people, but who is in charge of that story? And I think the first time that I realized there was a huge problem was when I was like, oh my God, yeah, Top Boy. Oh my God, who wrote Top Boy? Wait, white man from Ireland. Oh shit, okay, no, we need to and it's all about who is in charge of these representations and what are the different nuances that will be told when writers of colour, when people of colour, women of colour, especially in my case, when we get in charge, how do you change that narrative? And I'm not sure yet. I'm hoping that in the next 5 to 10 years that we'll see palpable, tangible change, but I don't know, it's very slow.
Oh, what are you doing as a woman, what are you doing to make that change? It's all on you.
Right, okay. My company's called Fresh Voices, and I set the company up in 2011 when I realised that the last original drama series by a person of colour or a black person was Black Silk in 1989. Let me just say that again. It was Black Silk in 1989. Now, I'm really specific about that, and I'm specific about it because there have been adaptations. There was the adaptation of the book Baby Father. There was the adaptation of the book Small Island. There have been various, just the other day there was the adaptation of Boy with a Top Knot. But there hadn't been, up until 2014, when Daniel and Marlon created Run for Channel 4, there hadn't been anything since 1989. So, that I set up my company because I wanted to showcase the work of Black and Asian and other minority ethnic writers to the industry, because at the time, what I was hearing was they didn't know where we were. So I helped them find us. That's what I do. So I'm really pleased by some of the things that I've seen, like the fact that Danielle is a development executive at a production company. We haven't had many of those, not really. We've had a few, but not very many. I can count the number of producers on one hand and still have fingers left over. So I'm glad that, as she said, we are pushing through, but I suppose there is always a small part of me, because I'm old and grey now. I've seen some of this before. So I've seen us come to a certain stage and fall away. It's very easy for us to fall away. To answer your question, I am writing. I'm writing a lot. I've got 4 different series in development with 4 very different companies. That's good, but what will be great is when we see a series by a person of colour actually greenlit. That's what I'm waiting for. So I hope that answers your question.
No, it does. Anyone? What inspired you to get into the work that you do, and who are you looking behind at?
Wow. I started my production company, Purple Night Colour Productions, last year. And it was of the realisation that...
Sorry, can I stop? I'm calling you Yvonne, not Bethany, and I don't know why I'm calling you Yvonne.
Sorry. No,
Juliana.
I was going to say...
Sorry, it's Juliana. I don't know why I've got Yvonne in my mind. You look like an Yvonne. You should slap me next time. Yeah. Juliana, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. I started Purple Night Colour Productions last year after the realisation I didn't see women that looked like me in the industry. I mainly worked in the background, so I had the opportunity of working in talent management, I worked in a theatre, so I did a lot of stuff in the background, and I was very eager to kind of do stuff with production, with writing, but I didn't see anybody that looked like me. And it was kind of like I would knock on doors, and I felt like doors were shutting in my face. So I was just like, rather than knock on doors, let me try and do things on my own, and let me try and start this whole thing, let me try and write, let me try and produce stuff on my own. And that's where Purple Night Colour Production started. Slow progress, it's still slow steps, I'm still a baby, but it was off of the back of kind of looking at what was going on in regards to broadcasting and stories that I was seeing and not seeing myself in these stories, and not seeing other women of colour on television, or seeing kind of the stories that I would expect to see, or the kind of stories that I lived, or the kind of stories that I saw other women living. And it was just frustration, so I was just like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to write stories that I felt needed to be heard, but also at the same time using, you know, my production company to kind of, you know, speak to other people of colour and see like what stories do they have and how can I help them get that produced, if that makes sense. You know, whether it be a short that kind of gets broadcast on the web or on YouTube, because we know how big YouTube is, and how, you know, I'm a huge fan of Dare Jesus, and just and just, you know, off of watching that and kind of seeing that develop, I was just like, and that was just all from YouTube, and just, you know, you kind of getting people watching that and people kind of thinking, oh, that's really amazing, you know, so stuff like that. And, you know, I was adamant, still adamant, that, you know, I will start by doing that, and hopefully, you know, like Danielle and Carol said, it kind of starts slowly pushing forward, and, you know, 5 years' time, we'll kind of see all these stories on television, you know, so, yeah.
So there's a pattern,
Or if not television, online, because I think that really is the next stage. I'm not sure that we will be able to break down the doors to the BBC or Channel 4 or ITV to tell the kinds of stories that you want to tell and that you are telling. See, I love Dear Jesus as well, and you. I think those things are challenging, but I do think it's really important that we take hold of, if you like, the means of production. That sounded like a communist here now, but push forward and really tell our stories, because we will be, that way we will know where to find each other. We will know where to find the stories that tell stories about women like us. And as that lady was saying earlier, we need also, I think, to not allow ourselves to be separated in this way. You don't know about me, and I don't know about you. And I think that we need to know about each other.
I think, you know, Karen and I have had this like conversation before about the different ways in which we like tackle our seats at the table, basically. And I think I am definitely a fan of do the work where you can do it, okay? Like, I think for me, I know that I did the whole YouTube thing. I didn't just do it, I did it. I put my everything into it. And when you're trying to do this stuff by yourself, it's very expensive, okay? Currently, I'm working on a series that is £2.5 million an episode. There's 6 episodes, that's what, nearly £30.5 million, right? And so for me, I'm like, okay, yeah, of course, like we can do stuff online. That is a wonderful platform. But if you notice, it is the Kayode Ewumis that get through in that. It is the Michael Dappers, and I love them. I love to support them. But when you are a black woman in this industry and you're trying to get through, notice, especially because we are British, you're black, British, and a woman. Britain is a smaller market, okay? We do not have the same level of access to opportunities as your Issa Raes or your Black and Sexy TVs that are allowed to, and that can go from HBO, BET, the CW, whatever it is. We have a very limited amount of spaces, and for me it's like, I want us to be able to compete on the same level as everybody else. It's like, why do we always have to be the ones that are like making stuff by ourselves? Because we always do it. We always do it. The onus always falls on us, and it gets upsetting for me. So I'm just like, I don't mind fighting the good fight. And I understand what you're saying in terms of you've seen this before, you've seen this passion, but you ain't seen it from me. So
we are strongly agreeing. We are strongly agreeing on this one. I absolutely believe the same things as you, and I will work to keep kicking down that door, because I pay my television license. My mother pays her television license, and I believe that if we're paying our television license, we should be allowed to see people who look like us doing things that we do on television.
So for the time that I've been doing the British Blacklist, I've learned a lot. I've been to too many diversity events, and the conversation is always the old guard that have been there and the newbies that have come in. We come in with all the energy, and in 5 years already I'm jaded, and I've got people saying repeatedly, I've been doing this for 20 years, 20 years of diversity events, 30 years of diversity events. It gets really boring and tiring. So there is, and as you said, you've been there, done that, seen it, and you're still fighting the good fight. And I don't like this question because I suppose it can be a little bit depressing in the fact that, well, how do we really and truly affect change? Because you can run your own production company, you can get inside, and you can continue to run your own business and keep knocking on doors and writing your own stuff. But when the gatekeepers keep the gates shut, what are the things that you've seen that have actually worked? Because I suppose we could use Michaela Cole as an example of someone who went off and did her own thing. She had her plays, she did her own stuff, got her presence up, and then her story was plucked out. And for being a dark-skinned black woman, British black woman, that was a bit of an anomaly. That hasn't happened before. But then it was a white production company, it's a white channel, Channel 4, it's supposed to be like the cool channel, but it still has the hoops and jumps that everyone has to jump through to get through. And essentially, I don't know, I saw some news that she was bringing back season 3, but as it stands, she's not doing it anymore. And I've spoken to her a few times, and the frustration is there. It's hard work, and to get your dream out there and support it consistently. There's another thing that they do. They might take an idea, make it a pilot, and then you're done with it. They thought, we've done our diversity bit. So what is the thing or the one tactic that you can think of that seems to be working from the UK perspective? Because America, they have a whole different kind of setup.
I guess the one thing that I can think of is like just consistency, which is hard if you're being consistent and having the door consistently shut in your face. Like, that is hard. But because the way the UK industry works is very nebulous. There's not one path that I can say, follow this path and you will have a pilot in 2 years. It doesn't work like that. You work with commissioners. Okay, so I'll take you, because I didn't know this, and I think it's always really good information to know for people. So, you are a writer, you write your script, you think it's hot, you take it to a production company, and the production company either option the script for like a year or so, and when you have an option, it means that the production company basically own it and they are allowed to go and shop it around, and in that time you can't work with any other production companies on that script. So that production company will go to one of the different broadcasters, be it BBC, ITV, Channel 4, Channel 4, Channel 5, Sky, you know, and so they'll take it around, and in their hopes, they were hoping that that will get commissioned and greenlit, and that they will get like a huge sum of money to pay for the whole production and to pay for everything else. Now, the problem is you have to impress the commissioners at these channels. This is a handful of people whose tastes change from day to day. Today they can tell you they love something, the next day they don't want that thing. And so the writers are constantly moving back and forth. And when I started, I was a little bit confused because I just thought, well, you know, white people should be, you know, having a ball of a time at this, you know, white privilege and all that. And I was like, oh no, it doesn't work like that. Can you get that one person who's the gatekeeper to like your script? That's it. That's the only game you're playing. And because they move around, commissioners move from channel to channel, and Carol knows what I'm talking about, this stuff is hard. So I think that the only thing that you can do is say to yourself, am I a writer? Or what am I doing? Am I like willing to do this for the next 30, 40, 50 years of my life, knowing that, you know, it's only 1 out of every 12 ideas that might get through the door, and it's only like 1 out of every 50 that will get made into a show. So when I say consistency, I'm saying that because it comes, you know, you're coming against a whole tirade of people that want to go into that and want to do that. So for me, I just always encourage people that, like, if you want to do this, if you want to be there, if you want to make change, that's the way.
Sorry.
I have a suggestion. Can I have a mic?
Can we keep it tight?
Yes, it's very tight. It's something I've seen in the Sundance Film Festival while we were talking about Muslim narratives. They have a committee to every single film from Muslim communities that judges, we are not like this, we are like that. And so every time there is a film or a show or a TV that represent you, you should have a committee to say, this is not us, and will not pass. Because BFI is investing loads of money on diversity, and what they do is a United Kingdom.
I think it's a black woman and so
I know.
it's a different thing, and I think we do have people that kind of that's a tangent, because we have groups that talk about what's representative of us, but it's not as simple as that, because we're not talking about that, we're not even on that stage, we're actually getting people that can tell our stories,
Exactly.
to make the stories. So it's not even about, we will talk.
Don't we have a committee, an official committee?
What do you mean? Like,
This is not us, we don't want...
but then you can't have one committee to represent, because black people are not one of them. So we have different areas, so what's on screen is different versions of us. It's just not all of us are going to like the same thing. So the fact of the matter, the problem is we have so many different storytellers who want to tell different stories that represent black. We have cultures, we have traditions, we have tribes, we have heritage, we have countries from continents, different people. Black people may share skin tones, but not the same outlook in life. So we can't have one committee to speak on everything. What we need to do is get the people that are the gatekeepers to understand that there are different representations of black folks. So you can't just have Top Boy. You can't just have a single angry black woman with a gang child. Do you understand? So that's the problem.
Yes, absolutely. And part of the problem is that we're not yet at the table telling the stories. So, and certainly not in drama. In comedy, it's easier for us, which is why I believe Michaela Cole broke through. She broke through because what she was doing was comedy. We haven't had drama writers for ages. So whenever you see a black face as the lead in something, a black person has probably not been involved in creating that character. So we can't even, the committee you're talking about is, we're not even at that place yet where we can say that.
So sorry, I was on a tangent. But thank you, because it's a thought that people might think, and it's great that you put that forward, because there needs to be a really deep understanding that black people aren't the same. We're really different. It's not like being a Muslim, because Muslim, it's one thing. You're a Muslim. But when you're black, you're a rainbow. So what are we using to, gatekeepers aside, what are we utilising? What are the best tools to utilise getting our story out there? Because the internet has been a birthing place of amazing creativity and originality from our people, from our culture and our community. So what kind of tools are you using to kind of get your story across whilst the gatekeepers are keeping the gates locked?
I think it's very, very important to share your work in every single platform. It's a blessing and a curse, but it's more of a blessing that we have social media nowadays. You know, you've got the Twitters, you've got your Facebook, you've got Tumblr, you've got, the list is endless, Vimeo, YouTube, all of that. You know, so it's just sharing your work and, you know, having those people that believe in your work and also sharing that for you. I think it's absolutely important. You know, a lot of stuff I see nowadays, I'm always on social media, so I see it on social media and I'm like, oh, and then I go and explore and then I go and find something else and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't realise that was going on. You know, so I think it's absolutely important in kind of using those platforms as a way of kind of seeing what's going on, but also sharing the work that you're doing. And what tends to happen is that, you know, we hear nowadays loads of things go viral. You know, like you mentioned, Michael Dapper going viral. You know, all of those things. And I guess we don't want it to be a thing where we just go viral once, but that opens doors in itself. You know, we can see that from the Michael Dapper going across the world doing his thing. You know, so I think it's absolutely important to kind of just, you know, continue sharing. Like Danielle said, it's kind of staying consistent. You know, you might have the knockback where sometimes you feel like, oh, I didn't get a tweet, or no one's kind of, but someone is seeing it. You know, you might not know who that person is, but someone is seeing it, and they've probably spoken to somebody else, and they kind of think, oh, okay, I'll go check that out, and they've checked it out. You know, it's just kind of continue kind of the work and sharing and being consistent and knowing that your work has been seen. It might not have been voiced out, but someone is seeing that work.
One of the reasons why I say that the internet is a good place is because it allows you to become consistent. The thing that I've learned writing for television for the years that I have is every single time I sit down and write, that script is better than the last script. And the more your work is produced, even if you do it all by yourself, the better your work will be, because you will see the mistakes, or you will see things that you can do differently the next time. So I think for me, moving forward with the internet, going online, seeing people's work online, seeing your own work online, will help that consistency that Danielle is talking about, that is absolutely required.
And we also get immediate feedback, and that's you know, the biggest judge is like, you get that instant feedback, and you're reaching the globe. And then I think we sometimes limit our sites to the UK. So I was going to ask about the global diaspora, but before that, I wanted to, because it's a technology question, I saw an event. I used to work at BBC, and I used to work in BBC R&D. And before I left, one of the last projects we were working on, what was becoming prolific, was virtual reality and the kind of 360 world visual stuff. And it's mind-blowing. I saw that at the BBC, and there's an event that was coming up, and everyone on the panel was white. And when it comes to technology and development and owning the science behind the storytelling, where are we? And does any of that cross your radar? Do you even think that way about how do we get that social, like technologically advanced? How do we get there, be on the level, on the playing field? And is it something that registers? Is there enough educational insights of black people that are creating? Do we know enough about how to be ahead of the curve or be on the curve?
I think, so the Netflix show that we're working on is one of those shows that's I'm trying to not give any spoilers. Okay, so it's 75% live action and 25% animation, and it's about a group of kids who go into this virtual reality game, and that's why it's so expensive. But like you said, the gatekeepers who have the ability to get that show made, and they're white. Now, this is where I get a little bit, where I question myself in my thinking. Okay, follow me for a second. This might sound wrong. Now, £2.5 million. You're going to want to give that to somebody that's tested in the industry. Who are the people that are tested in the industry? White people. The people that are allowed to continuously, allowed to make shows time after time after time. The experience that they have is based partly on their access, the level of access, and also because of their race. Now, if we want to get into making stuff with that kind of budget that allows us to use that kind of technology, that means that we can, like part of our thing is that people will be able to have VR experiences and, you know, like integrate multiple different platforms and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, we want to get involved with that too, but who is going to trust us with the money? Because in their mind, investors are thinking this is a business decision. And while we're able to look at it and see it as something that can play as race, because wait, what you're saying that you can't trust me with money, yeah? But in their mind, they're like, what have you made? What have you made? What can you say that you have done that can prove that you are going to be able to take my money, flip it, and bring me back 5 million for my 2.5 investment? That's where we're working with. So for me, it's like, I don't know how we get there, I don't know what we do, but my favorite thing is the internet, because the kids, they know how to do stuff with their phones. Like, do you know what I mean? I've kind of passed that stage. I find it exhausting a little bit. But the kids coming up, they can do all kinds of things. And that's where it is. So for me, I'm always like, we have to make sure that as much as I'm still trying to keep sure that I'm moving forward and opening doors, I have to keep stretching my hand back and getting the kids forward, because they're the ones that know, they have the energy for that. Right now, I'm thinking about how am I going to buy a house. Do you see what I'm saying? So I think that's where we have to start doing it, is to start linking all of these things together. So, okay, I have access to this, and that little boy over there knows how to do some amazing things with a drone. Now, how do I bring the symbiosis into this and really allow us to keep moving forward? And that's the whole thing. So for me, it's about being a facilitator of ensuring that we are able to move through this industry better.
And the subcontinent of India, they are doing some magnificent things with technology. And so I hear you, because I could lose myself on the internet at times and just, you know, not do any writing at all. And I have people's things to give them. So, yeah, no. But I do know that what that's doing to me as a writer is it's making me think about what I want to write and the worlds I want to create in a completely different way, because I know that there is somebody of colour out there who will be able to help me to make the thing that I've got inside my head.
Yeah, no, definitely. Jumping off of what Danielle's just said, it's actually important, the kids, because, or the, you know, the generation behind us, you know, because what we seem to do, like, prime example, like, for example, I'm mentoring someone, and it was kind of, she's a lot younger, she's like, finished, she's in college. And it was one of those things where I'm still on the learning experience myself, but any wisdom or any kind of anything that I have, I'm willing to be able to kind of say, look, this is what you need. I didn't have that person. You know, I started off thinking, what am I doing? Where am I going? How am I doing this? And it was kind of just a learning and just kind of learning as I go along. And, you know, to be able to share that knowledge and that experience, absolutely. And I think with the VR thing, I had the opportunity of working at the BFI, part of the London Film Festival, and there was a Connect talk, the VR experience, that I kind of put together. And I was amazed by the VR kind of virtual reality thing, because it never crossed my mind. And there must be, like you said, there must be a lot of people of colour that have probably got ideas and, you know, are working in this industry but not given the opportunity. And it is kind of something that I'm thinking, what can we do to capitalise on that and to make, you know, make storytelling become part of you know, virtual reality, because there is a lot of people doing it. And again, it's one of those things that in 5 to 10 years' time, it's going to take over. It's already slowly taken over. It's going to take over to the point where it's going to be a multi-million, billion, you know, kind of industry.
Serious.
You know, it's very, very serious. And I think it is important, like, let's start from the young and let's kind of look at the younger generation and see, you know, these are kind of the opportunities that you can think about doing. And, you know, virtual reality, you've got this, you've got that. So, yeah.
So we've got to wrap up, I think. We've got 1 minute left. Is that right, Jennifer? Yes. 1 minute. So 1 minute. If you guys can throw any questions out quickly, and then, yeah. You can do it in a minute. It's like you guys, your answer's got to be short, like one word answers.
Quick comment and question. I believe, and thank you ladies for all of your comments and stuff, that it's also about bringing the young together, but also about pulling money together as well, which I think is really missing, pulling business people, black business people alongside those that are creative, and also pulling the money together in order to make what we want to make. And the question to you guys would be, one, do you think that would help solve the problem if we could start engineering our own economics? And also, have you tried to do that in your own career?
One word answers, please.
I tried.
Yes, and I'm doing it now.
Yes, and I'm trying to do it using my own money, but yes.
It was a yes, that's positive. Yeah. And yes, I'm trying and doing, kind of. Anything else quickly? Any quick questions? Yes?
Sorry, you not?
No, there's no one called Yvonne. I made her up. I made her up. I literally made this woman up.
I mean, obviously, I suppose, I don't know if everybody's aware, like, Soul Celebrating Day.
Yes.
Which it's run quarterly at the BFI. It's for people of colour to show their shorts. I think they only probably show about 9, but it is a very good event, and there's a lot of networking at the end of it. So I think the next one's on the 1st of December.
Yeah, it's a great place.
Soul Celebrate Connect.
Yeah. So I just wanted to quickly again just say thank you guys. I want to say, just can you give down the line, what shows do you watch that take your brain away and switch off and make you say, oh, thank goodness?
For me, which I kind of binged the other day, was Spike Lee. She's got to have it. Oh my God, it was giving me life, real life, like, and the music was amazing. I love soca, and I heard a bit of soca, and I was like, yay!
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that.
Oh, you know. It makes me so sad that it's all American stuff, but it is really scandal being Mary Jane, how to get away with murder. She's got to have it, dear white people. Like, it's like a problem. Like, it makes me so sad, but it's really true. I mean, there are some British. I really love This Is This Is Us, Grace. No, but the A Word on BBC at the moment. Famalam. I'm looking forward. I heard that they're going to bring it for a whole series. I did enjoy Time Wasters on ITV2. So like, I'm trying to do more British stuff, but it's very American. Okay.
I'm the same. Thank you guys.
Okay, everyone, we're really fast.